Welcome everyone. We're so excited to have you all here today. This is our second of 3 Power Up webinars we're doing, where we're just discussing some of the biggest parts that can either be pitfalls or really help propel your business. And brought here some awesome experts that I'm excited to introduce you guys to in just a minute. But the topic for today is we're talking about everyone's favorite thing to talk about, chaos. How do you deal with chaos in your business? When I think about starting a business, I think about how it's kind of like becoming a first-time parent, where, before you're a parent, you don't realize how judgy you are. I mean, you just, you see the kid crying in the grocery store and you're like, what's wrong with the parents? Why can't they keep things in order? And then at one point, when you have a kid, your kid's the one crying in the grocery aisle line, and all of a sudden, just all the judgment just drops, right? And it's very similar with a business. Obviously, usually when you're starting your business, you have some sort of imposter syndrome. But at some point along the way, you also think like, I'm going to figure out how to do this. Like, we're going to have things tight, things are going to run well. And then it doesn't usually take too long when you get into your business and you start realizing that the real title of being a CEO is a chaos elimination officer. And you're just really just putting out fires all day long. But the thing about being a business owner is you're usually really good about not showing the chaos publicly as much as possible. So, to your family, they might have certain visions of, what you're really doing with your business. Your friends might have certain perceptions of, what you do in your business. And then your customers too, hopefully, they think the way you're running your business in different ways. But the reality is of what you actually do can be quite overwhelming at times. And you just hold it together really well. And that's one of the amazing things about being about business owners is they're able to really hold it together. But it is nice to figure out ways to really help eliminate the chaos and create more systems so everything can run more smoothly. And, another illusion is that it's just a one-time thing, that you just create a few systems and you're good to go. But it's an ever-changing, ever-evolving thing that you need to do in your business. It's really a mindset to be a systems creator and create systems in your business. So I'm super excited to dive into this topic today, and hopefully it will be really helpful to all our viewers. Welcome to everyone who is watching. So let me introduce my friends that I brought here today. Now, these are all some of my system expert friends. They're total system geeks. I'm a system geek too, so it's good to be a systems geek. But we've got Curt from ResponsiBid, and he has a software that helps you calm the chaos of your sales process, to systematize how to convert your leads into customers. And then we have Jenny from Dunzo, and she is an automations queen. So I don't think there is a thing in a business she doesn't know how to create a system for with different software and technology. And so she just really helps in your whole customer journey with your leads and your prospects, and even hiring to help create systems to make it all run smoother. And then we have Christopher and Michael with Powerwash Academy, and they are the power washing operations systems totally whizzes. So, and knowing how to train your employees and set up different operations in your business so everything just runs really smoothly. So super excited and grateful to have you all here today. Thank you. If you guys want to just take a minute and share your why. Why did you get in the business of helping people create systems? What is it that you're so passionate about with them?
Since you introduced me first, should I go first?
Go for it, Curt. Yes.
Right, cool. So for me, it's I'm almost embarrassed to say it. Here we go. It's because I'm a wimp, and I just have a soft heart. And when I started my window cleaning pressure washing business, I would give a price, and that price was always negotiable. And not even negotiable. I would negotiate myself. Be like, here's the normal price, but because you're a sweet old lady and I don't really need to feed my family, I'll just do it for you for half that price, or whatever it was. And ResponsiBid was sort of born out of the fact that I needed to create a way to make my price, like math, and I needed to make technology the bad guy. And then it worked really well so that my employees could do it, and I could trust them to give good pricing, and not too much, not too little, competitive, but whatever. And I saw a lot of good that came from it. And I'd already tried systematizing a lot of stuff inside of the business which I think actually Christopher and Michael would talk more about in terms of like the actual operation. But for me, going out and selling, I always felt like this sales number was something I pulled out of my head, and there was no way to like upsell or downsell against it because it was just this number that I think it'll be about this much. So, man, made all the difference in the world. And then I made a whole software out of it. Oh, you're muted, Michelle.
All right, I love that, Curt. Thank you so much. And we're grateful that you had that experience to bring you where you are today and what you're doing. What about you, Jenny?
So I got familiar with systems for the first time when I started with Concur. So Concur was the first startup I'd ever worked for. I'd worked for smaller companies, but I'd never worked for like a true startup. And I was there like month one when they started. And we had no systems in Concur at all. I was working off of spreadsheets. So I had learned a lot about automations and helping make my life easier as the admin of Concur. And then I kind of dabbled. I would get questions from clients like, hey, do you know how to help with Zapier? And that's kind of how Dunzo was born, as like, well, maybe I could do this on a larger scale. So I dabbled in the beginning, and I saw how automations really helped home service businesses, not just Concur, but like how it could also help them automate. So that's how I got into it, and I really enjoy automation. So
love it. Thank you, Jenny. Okay, and Christopher, what about you?
All right. So a lifetime of working in large corporate companies as an operator. And what I realized coming to work with Michael is that scalability even goes down to a 1 or 2 person office or operation. And it is about the systems and respecting the systems. You put it in play, whatever that is. If it's in the morning, we're going to walk around the truck and check everything. You got to respect it and do it. Because once you get into the habit, then you can start to scale. And I'm sure everybody here would like to grow their business and scale it up. And that's without having systems, you can't scale. You'll spend your whole life working in your business and never being able to free yourself to work on your business without systems. So that's really the magic. Seems like systems, oh, what is that? It's the processes, it's the procedures. And that's where you go.
Yeah, definitely the pathway to freedom for sure. And what about you, Michael? Oh, for some reason, still not hearing you. Whoops. It's not showing you're on mute, but for some reason we're having trouble with the sound there.
Sound check.
Yep, sound check. Sorry, we should have tested this before. We didn't have a good system for our sound. All right. I might have maybe someone in our backstage can chat with him, see if we can get that figured out. But Michael, we'll get you to introduce yourself a little bit. Okay, so we appreciate everyone who registered and already submitted some questions. And please, listeners, don't be shy. If you have questions as we're going through this, please post it in the chat and we will get to as many as we can. But I want to start out with one of my own, okay? So I got my undergrad in behavioral science, so I'm always fascinated and curious about just what makes people tick and how they work. And one thing that I'm curious about is this type of phobia, okay? This is not a like officially recognized clinical phobia, but it is a thing. So it's called systemophobia, right? And so it's the fear of or phobia of systems, okay? Now, when I think about it, I think of it almost like on the spectrum. I know some people that they just completely hate systems, whether there may be some fear about it and also just don't like them. Like they just feel trapped by them and very like, I don't know, just kind of congested by them. And then I know other people that, you know, they can't even brush their teeth without having like a system in place, right? Everything has a system. You know, the people that will write a to-do list and then write something on the to-do list after they did it, that if they missed, just so they can cross it off. You know, I have an uncle that has to have a ruler to cross it off because it's got to be a straight line. Like everything's a system. So there's definitely a spectrum. But those that maybe have more systemophobia, what can they do to make sure that they have the right systems but in place in their business, but that they're not suffocating by them. You know, because as a business owner, if you are more on this end of the spectrum where that you just don't fly as well with systems, which by the way, if you're watching this and you are, thank you for being here. Kudos to you for showing up. But if someone is more that way, what kind of advice would you give to them of how to just kind of warm up to systems, or how to be able to function with some systems in their business without feeling suffocated by it?
I don't want to talk too much, but I mean, I honestly talk to people all the time that their fear or phobia of systems has to do much more with the fact that they're afraid that systems will make them cold. It'll take the humanity out of their business. That's, if I had to nail down the biggest reason I hear people shying away from systems, particularly, you know, sales systems, I would say to, and I do say to people like that, is that a system is what will allow you to freely introduce the humanity with the comfort and knowledge of knowing that you don't have to worry that your human nature is going to screw everything up. So just to give you an example, if you know that when you go out and give a price to someone, and I know, sorry, I don't know any other way, but I'm going to use ResponsiBid as an example. But if I know when I'm going to give a price that I have something that's going to make sure I get their name and their email and their address, and I'm going to collect the number of square feet of this or the number of those things on site, I'm free now because that system frees my mind up. By the way, the human mind can't do multitask nearly as well as humans think they can. So, but now I'm free to say, I'm not going to have to multitask when I'm asking about your dog and I'm talking to you about the car you have in the garage and that trip you took to Italy that sounds so cool. I can talk to you about that because I know when I'm done, I won't have forgotten to do the trip charge. I won't have forgotten to count the thing that I was supposed to count because my system will make sure that I do it. And if you're shying away from systems, and you can think about that example in any other area, whether it's the way you onboard an employee or whether it's the way that you maybe even put your marketing together. If you know you want to do something every single time, there is nothing about that removes the humanity to make sure that it gets done every single time. And I would go further to that person and say, it actually is going to allow you to be much more free. Oh, you're muted, Michelle.
Sorry, we're going to get this down. But it kind of goes with what Christopher was saying earlier, that, you know, systems are the path to freedom. So, you know, if you are more of a free-flowing person and that's how you thrive, you know, try to figure out some way that the system can help you still keep that freedom, but also help free up in other ways that not having a system keeps you trapped. Yeah. I like that a lot. Michael, can we check again and see if we can have you? Oh, darn.
No. It's a shame that this super brilliant dude that we need to hear from.
Hey, Anna, in our background, could you reach out to him maybe by email or give him a call? Mary might have his number and see if we can help troubleshoot that.
He's got the best setup for this of anybody I know, which is why it's funny.
Technology. Okay, well, let's pop up some of the questions from our viewers now. And I appreciate in the comments here, we had some people talk about creating mind maps to help create systems. Maybe if you aren't using them, looking into different software. So I love that. Also, Jason says to change your Michael. So I don't know how that will help, but okay. So let's talk for a minute about what signs do you see in a business that usually, or if you are the business owner, what signs kind of are a symbol in your own business that some system needs to be set up that isn't right now? What do you see in businesses that need that?
I'll share one key indicator, I think, when you're missing a system is that a process or something that you do becomes a time vampire because you're always going back to check things. So, you know, maybe you have a salesperson that always misses square footage. It's like, well, he doesn't have a good system, or we don't have a good system. I'm stealing Curt's example, but you know, it could be in your accounting. You know, if you're always hitting 35 days and it needs to be 30 days, you know, what do you have that's a time vampire? And I love that term because you're looking back and saying, what's eating up my time because I have to do it twice. And that's usually a number one sign that I either have an ineffective system or it needs to be tweaked or don't have one at all. If you're missing a lot of information, especially on a customer interaction, that's, you know, because you're leaving it up to somebody just remember, You get in the heat of the moment, you start talking about, you know, the kids and the weather, and you forget, wait, what was the item number of something you needed? So, you know, that to me is one of the key indicators that you need it. And most entrepreneurs are very, very creative. And so, you know, they can juggle a lot of things in their head and generally make it happen. The systems, you know, a lot of times it's for you, but a lot of times it's for to be able to scale your company so that they get everything done that you would have done in that situation. You give them a system.
I love that. Anybody else wanted to stop the conversation?
I was going to say that the one other thing that I think of just as we're also growing as a business is I have a lot of people who come to me for things and I'm like, oh, great. I gotta document that, right? I gotta create some sort of SOP or whatnot. So that way they don't feel like they have to come to me for little questions like how to do a certain type of automation. I don't want to be the only one that has this knowledge. So that's like an indicator for me as a business owner that like, okay, we need to document this. We need to create an automation or a system, or if my team is taking hours to do something like Chris was saying, then that's also the indicator for me.
That's really helpful. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about some different system or processes in your system or systems in your business that are really helpful to set up. What about when it comes to your sales process? What are some essential systems that in that whole process that really can be helpful to convert to more of your leads?
ResponsiBid.
Yeah, I was going to say ResponsiBid. We work with ResponsiBid all the time and we love it in our automations. We connect to them and helping them, like customers being able to go and get their own bids. I think that helps a lot because I feel like in an age right now where people don't like picking up the phone or talking to people. I don't know what it is. People just like, nope, don't want to pick up the phone and talk to anyone. So ResponsiBid, I feel like is the...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like I got a comment. Thanks, guys, for saying that. That's great, and I appreciate it. I do feel like, you know, Powerwash Academy is here. You can build systems for the employees who could do anything that they want on a job site, but should be doing something probably very specific. Dunzo is another example of people who know they should be marketing, but there's no way in the world that they would actually find time in their day to actually do it. But we could take this to the systems that you use in your home with your family. I know Josh Latimer kind of famously has put together like Tucker Tuesday and Finley Friday, and you know he's got his kids' days, and he's built systems so his kids feel loved. I mean, truly, the way that I first fell head over heels in love with systems, well, actually, the first time I fell in love with systems was when someone showed me that I could just go to a job site and give a good, better, best price, and people would close almost every time. That was amazing. But I always struggled with employees, just constantly feeling like, why do they hate me so much? Why are they trying to ruin my business? It just felt like constantly they would leave my equipment on a job site, or they would not change the oil in my truck's engine and blow an engine out for me, even though they told me that they had. I can't even go into it. How many high modulus carbon fiber poles dropped off of a 20-story building and turned into little shattered pieces of carbon fiber? It was so irritating. And the moment I I wrote down all the things that I hated. I took out a legal pad, and I remember I went down the legal pad, and it was about 3 pages of just stuff that, like, I hate them. I hate these employees, and here's why. And I just wrote all the things they were doing. And then I created this employee certification program that was like, okay, well, if they do this, then this reward will happen. And if they do that, then this reward will happen. And if they do this, the reward will be taken away. And now all I have to do is just track this, which I know it sounds like a lot, but now there's softwares that do all that. The point is that I went from like really finding my employees to be a liability to truly being able to view them as an asset. And it really just came down to saying, what do you want? And what needs to happen every single time? And it really is that simple, at least in terms of getting your arms around it. Now, I'm not trying to say it's super easy to implement every single time, but I think a lot of people don't know where to start. And that's a really great starting point.
Yeah. So, okay, so with sales specifically, I know we mentioned ResponsiBid, which is super powerful with that. So with ResponsiBid or even just other systems in place, what specifically, like what are you systematizing? What part of the sales process are you systematizing?
The follow-ups are a lot of things that we do. Tracking, like sometimes, you know, estimators are running around doing tons of things, and they are often forgetting to do their follow-ups. It's like if they're not closing right then and there, then they're like moving on to the next one, which is great, I guess, in a mentality, type of thing, but there's still people that maybe are price shopping that we don't want to forget about. So either doing the follow-ups for them or setting reminders and specific tasks, like they have to check off that they've done it. So that way you can go back in and say like, hey, you have like 200 tasks on your plate. Why are you not doing these follow-ups, or, helping close those leads that maybe they don't have time to follow up on because they're running back-to-back estimates. I know when I worked for the cleaning company I worked for, I want to say we had like 5 estimators at one point, and they had multiple estimates a day. So they had no time to do those follow-ups. So having some sort of automated system to help support them, even if it is just a task reminder, that they get to their phone to say, hey, follow up with, Michelle or something like that. And that has helped also increase a lot of our clients' closing rates because they're doing the follow-ups that their estimators are not doing. So
I love that.
So
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, Jenny's exactly right. And it goes farther when you have automations, because you can also automate the life cycle of a customer. So you've closed them, but now you're going to have an automation that keeps them involved with your brand over the next year or 2 years, so that when they're ready to make that purchase again, the only person they're thinking of is your brand, because you've kept them engaged. And those automations, once you set them, just do it for everybody, so you don't have to have a person to remember to do it. And that's it goes right into CRM and then into the next sale and the next sale, and the lifetime value of that customer really can go way up.
Yeah.
So there's more than just closing a sale. And what system or what computer program works the best is you have to sit back and figure out what you want out of it before you can tell. Because ResponsiBid's great, but there's a ton of CRM engines out there that are wonderful. But it really takes using that creative part of your mind to figure out what you need out of it. And then it becomes very apparent what system is the best program for you.
I love that. I know my sales team is always talking about how the automations make them feel like they literally clone themselves. So it's just a nice way to actually help empower your team too, to feel like they can get more done in less time, and put priority to the live, inbound kind of things coming in, because the proactive, where you're just following up, a lot can be done by the automations. So I think that's really powerful. Appreciate the comments that are coming in here as well. Sean Parsons is talking about checklists attached to your work orders can help. Checklists are amazing for your whole sales process and everything that needs to be done every time there, the things that need to be mentioned. I think that's really powerful. So awesome. I love seeing all that. Let's jump. Okay. We, now to, okay. So you got the sales now they convert into a customer. What kinds of best practices and systems do you recommend having in place there that are essential?
I'll say, one of the key things of those systems and the automations building them is you've got to have that cadence where, if you haven't talked to somebody for 30 days, or if you only have somebody you talk to once every 30 days, they're an acquaintance. If you have somebody you talk to every week, they're a friend, and you want your customers to be friends, and you don't always ask your friends for stuff. So when you're building those automations, a lot of times just giving something, it could just be a note like, hey, by the way, it's the time of year that we changed the clocks. Everybody else is saying it too, but you're being a friend. You're not always asking for something. You spend a lot of time, we have found a 4-to-1 ratio. 4 times you give, 1 time you ask. Then you're more of a friend and not just we all have those, they come on our emails or our text every 5 minutes or once a day, buy this same company, eventually say, unsubscribe. Well, if you're giving more than you're asking, then that's one of the best practices for keeping existing clients engaged with your brand.
Yeah. I think also thinking of, there's a few different parts in the customer journey. The one that we're talking about right now is existing customers. So that can be once a job is scheduled, letting them know who's showing up to their house, sending a headshot, I think is really cool. Especially I know for me, if I'm home by myself, I like to know who the heck is coming to my door. And that can be a little reassuring, sending, of course, steps to make sure that they're prepared before that, that job. Once a job has been completed, a lot of things that we do for our clients is they like to send like thank you gifts to them. And whether some of our clients who are like maid service clients, they're already in the home. So oftentimes they'll just leave something behind. But if the homeowner's out there, you're doing that outside of the home, you're an exterior cleaner, you can send some thank you gifts to them, and you can even get super creative with it and, do like tiers. So if someone spends over $2,000 with you, maybe you send them a super epic box. But if they've spent, maybe your minimum, you just send them a nice little, thank you card, maybe a cookie or something like that. You can just do some creative things to stand out and make you memorable. I know one thing as a homeowner, I'll have people come and like clean my carpets and they did an amazing job, and then I never hear from them again. And so I forget who the heck they were when I need it done again. So I just go and shop for the next person because maybe they aren't the first person that pops up on my Google. So those reminders that Chris talked about earlier, whether it's just more of like a consultative, like, hey, we recommend that you get this done every 3 months, every 6 months. We're just here to support you, can help you stay top of mind as well for those existing customers so they don't go use someone else because they forgot who you were.
I love that. And one thing I'm hearing as you guys are talking is the trust systems can place in your customers, because when everything is very organized like that, and it's very thoughtful because these things are happening where you're sending the gifts or you're letting them know who's going to show up, that helps me have more trust in the company, because number one, I feel like they have their stuff together and they're on top of it. And number two, you're thinking, well, you're not really thinking, you thought it once before and now the system's letting it happen. But of all the little things that just make sure that every step along the way, I feel comfortable, I feel happy, I feel like I'm having a really good experience. And so I think that systems just really help level up your whole customer experience game, which is really the big thing that differentiates companies in this day and age. Where there's so many businesses popping up here and there, it's all about the customer experience, and you've really got to have those systems in place to have that. So I love that.
You're using the word trust. The title of the live, I think, of the webinar here is Chaos to Order. And I think that's the thing about chaos that's dangerous, is it's so untrustworthy. Even random over time will sort of produce some sort of statistical thing that you can trust, but you can't trust the actual transaction, the moment. And I think that right there is where people say, oh, things are chaotic. Sorry, things are a little bit chaotic right now. And I've done it. I've said the same thing. But what you're saying when you say it's chaotic is you can't really trust me right now because chance is what's driving this. And I really do value trust a lot. And so, I don't look at every person who says that things are chaotic in my life right now and like judge them. That's not what I'm getting at. But what I am saying is that's a good leading indicator for yourself to know if there's something that you need to be looking at adjusting, like what's chaotic in your life right now. And let's start there. Because again, I know I said it earlier, the thing about chaos is like, where do I start? This is a mess. Well, let's start with what you hate about the thing that feels chaotic. If you're having little bells in your mind going off that are dinging right now, how could you not just take 5 or 10 minutes, sit down with a notepad and write down all the things that you hate or that you want to change? And, that's the thing about values, is that values will typically be the exact opposite of the things that you hate. So I hate someone lying to me. Oh, I must really value trust, right? Or value honesty. So, but it's hard sometimes to articulate what you believe. And it seems to be easier to articulate the things that you can't stand.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to talk about this comment from Jason for a minute of creating relationships versus coming off salesy. And one thing I think you have to be careful of when you systematize, especially with your communication with your clients and automations, is how do you make it feel personable and real and not too salesy or just like it was an automation. So, and especially with AI, how do you use AI effectively to write things that feel authentic to your company, and help, streamline that process of producing content and communicating, but also feel still authentic? What kinds of ideas do you guys have about that?
I know I mentioned earlier, like being more consultative. So like even in our sales follow-up, we still provide value in them when we create them for our clients, is we try to provide like a checklist, like a homeowner's checklist. We've made a ton of those for our clients of things that they provide to their clients that say like, here's a quick little checklist. If we can help you with anything on this list, let us know. Just coming off more consultative than salesy, because I totally agree. I don't even like doing sales because I hate coming off salesy for that exact reason. So I like to provide value. And if they find value in our product and value in the information that we've given them, that makes me feel a lot better on selling our product.
Michael,
Love
is your
that.
mic working? Is Mike's mic working?
Yes, I think I'm working. I think I'm doing
There!
Oh, there we go.
I'm excited.
Oh, and he froze.
Well, Michael, I actually have a question for you now that you're on live,
Okay.
or your voice. So talk to us about systems for training. What kinds of systems are essential to have as far as training your employees, and how do you get employees to adopt them?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. You know, it's,
Oh, I hear him out of my other ear. He's froze.
what's that? Oh no, I thought Christopher said something. I was just giving a pause there. I had well, obviously years ago I had grown really fast, and I realized that my ability to train everybody was outside my abilities, and so I had key people in place that were doing the training, and then eventually those people left and new people came in, and over a period of time I realized that I had, like, training was getting passed down. It eventually got to be such a problem that it was a nightmare, and we weren't performing like we needed to out in the field anymore at all, because when you're growing and you have a lot of staff, it gets to the point where you can't go out and you can't watch everybody. So that was a big problem. So the main thing is that you have to make it part of your culture, and everybody has to adopt it. And if management doesn't get on board with it, you're never going to be able to incorporate systems and get people to follow systems. So doing that is you got to be a united front. Your supervisors have to support it, and your supervisors have to be very supportive of your staff and teaching them and getting them to follow the systems. And probably the simplest thing you can do to put a system in place is just have checklists. It's what Jenny said earlier, and I was like, that, like, right on, man. I mean, man, if you put check systems out there and people follow them, but the downside when I say it has to be followed and incorporated by management is that employees and people will get lazy and they'll just start pencil whipping it. They'll just check things off and go through the process, and they won't actually do it. So now you have to have the management processes in place to follow up, to make sure people are actually doing the things. And when things break or fail, you have to go back and ask the questions. Why did they fail? Where did it fail? And that's part of what you said in the beginning, is these are always updating and they're getting better. And you're going to find things that you can actually overdo it. You can have so many systems in place that you're not being efficient anymore. So you have to, I like to think of it, because I've seen people get very stagnated by the process. Like, well, what if this happens? Let's just system for this. What if that happens? You have to ask yourself the question, what will solve at least 80% of the problems if I put this system in place? And we'll worry about the other 20% if it becomes an issue or it becomes a problem. But if the 20% has to do with safety or someone getting hurt, well, then that's something you want to follow, because if the risk reward, if the risk is too high and the reward's too low, then you want to have that system in place. So that's kind of how I judge it and look at it. And it all comes down to management and holding people accountable.
I love that. I feel like you covered about 5 of the questions there in your response.
Oh, good.
But I'm going to go back to one of them because I'm curious for others to share on this as well. But we talked about people that just, really have an aversion to systems and really like to be more just free flowing. And then you have the opposite side where, just kind of a perfectionist with systems or like ultra systemy. How do you quit overthinking and redoing your systems and just focusing on making it perfect and instead just implement? You know, I love what you said, you know, get it 80% done. Does anyone else have tips on how to, you know, just start implementing these without making sure it's just completely perfect before you go?
I don't know if I should say. I have some thoughts. I don't think people like to hear this though. And I get it because I really do like things to go perfectly. What I found though is that when you have a team of people that are helping you to get something done and you are particularly working on something, you've got to start. And it does start by identifying what the problems are, like I've said, but there's the next part is where it gets really messy. Right now, you have something that needs to be systematized, presumably because it's either really chaotic and time consuming or whatever, and or it's not working. And when you start trying to solve the problem, the one thing I can guarantee you is that you won't get it right to start. So if that's a true guarantee, and I really believe it is, then here's the issue. You could either wait for forever to roll it out when it's perfect, but the problem is that I just told you you'll never get it perfect. So, and there's perfectionists out there going, no, I can get everything perfect. There's too many things about this system, about the part where you're wiring it up together and putting it together. There are too many things that you won't be able to consider. And it sucks. Now, there's ways you can mitigate how many people are affected by rolling something out that is bad. But one thing you got to start with is I got to get it into people's hands. I got to get this into the wild. And, you know, that they say you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. You're never going to have a system that rolls out perfectly to begin with. And you need to get your kind of mind right, get your expectations right, that I'm going to roll out a small system, or I'm going to roll out a big system to just a couple people, or whatever it is, so that when it does go out and people are interacting with it, you can get that feedback to get it right, because it's the tuning of a system that you'll be doing forever. But you can leave it alone for a long period of time before you have to tune it again. So that would be my suggestion, people, is just try to start with the thing you're trying to fix something that's small, or small for a small group, big for a small group of people, and just be ready to start fixing it.
Mm-hmm. And I think also, if it doesn't work, now you know it doesn't work, so you can try something else, right? I think always knowing that things change. We tell our clients when we set up their automations is, hey, this is a start. You're going to need to wait for feedback from your clients to know if this messaging works, or if you start getting negative feedback, okay, let's change it, right? I love testing it out with like 1 or 2 members as well. Like Curt mentioned, on my team, I have a couple team members. And I'm like, let's see if this works, or let's see if this makes sense, if this makes your life easier, if it makes it harder. And I'm always asking for feedback. I don't know how many times I've changed our onboarding process in our company, at least 10 times, because we're always trying to make it better. So just being okay with it not being perfect and knowing that it's going to change and no one makes it perfect.
I think Michael nailed it. It's 80%. You know, if you can drive a system that's going to solve 80% of the problems, or the potential, and make it more efficient, then go with it. And then the other half, or the other 20%, will come around. And if you have a decent sized group, go to the most efficient person and duplicate what they're doing. There's your template for go to your best truck. If that never has an issue, that's always maintained, is always cleaned and perfect and ready to go and most productive. You don't have to go make up a system. Go duplicate what they're doing for your team. And that's, you always have, what I've learned over the years is the best systems, especially when it comes to procedures, are generally the most efficient person is the person you want to model after. And it takes a lot of thinking out of it. You just go document what they're doing and duplicate it.
I love thinking of it that way. It's almost like that's your alpha. Whoever's doing it right, that's the alpha. And then you kind of beta test, okay, let's put this down on paper, what they were actually doing. And then you tweak that and like, okay, now we've got it refined a little bit and let's go to production, make this the actual thing, knowing along the way it's going to tweak. I love that. Along with that, and Michael, you kind of hit on this earlier with some of the pitfalls that can happen sometimes with adoption from employees, but what strategies do you guys recommend as far as training staff when you do implement a new system to ensure that they adopt it, and also, you know, that it's not, I mean, that they actually have some passion about it, or, you know, they've got buy-in? What kind of suggestions do you guys have for that?
I do video, I write it down, but I also don't personally write it down. I use a plugin, it's called Scribe. I think it's free. I don't think I pay for it. So literally when I'm recording a loom, it will just record and it will create a whole document for me. I don't have to sit there and do the screenshots because I think Sean said, you know, everyone learns differently. I am more of a video person. There's some people who are more like, just, I want to follow a step-by-step guide in there. So I love Scribe. I think it's super awesome if you're recording those looms because you don't have to do all of the, now I got to type step-by-step. So you have those two sources for your employees.
I'm obsessed with Scribe How. It's a Chrome extension, right? I love it. And what we'll do is I'll record like a loom video and do a Scribe at the same time. So that way I've got a video and a step-by-step, boom, whichever way you learn. I love that, Jenny.
I just noticed something new on Loom this week, or I don't know if y'all seen it, but Loom has an AI and it'll title it, and if you're doing an SOP or something, it'll do the whole thing for you. I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Love that.
Very cool.
We're kind of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say on the training front, you know, a lot of the processes for training need to be scalable, and it takes it, you know, if you're bringing on new people or training new people as the leader of your company, and you do the same talk all the time with a new person, say we walk around the truck and you show everything that the truck, don't touch this, use that, you know, we do this in the morning. If you just get somebody to video you doing that, then I know it, you know, a little plug, but we can turn that into a training class that's specific for your company. But you don't have to do that. You can literally just take that video and save it on a drive. So now the next time you have a new person, they can watch you. Then you can, you know, now you're freed up some time, and they hear the same message from the owner or the leader of the company every time. So a video of you, you know, and you're doing it all the time. You just take somebody, do it, and somebody hold the phone and walk around with you. And next thing you know, you've just created a video training module that you know, now can totally repeat and scale. So you're not spending all day long doing the same thing over and over again. So.
Love that. We've kind of been tackling both of these questions together. How do you get your employees adopt, and then what's the best way to document it? And really, I guess the answer is if you document it well, it is going to help the employees adopt it. Where do you guys recommend storing all this? I mean, do you have different places depending on, okay, sales team, here's our systems here, operations, here's the systems there. How do you get everyone on the same board knowing what's happening, and where do you keep all this stored?
Well, I mean, this is there's so many places that you can do it. We have like in our company, we use Google Docs to keep living documents, things that we want to be able to keep updating and things like that. We call them playbooks, and I've been actually just starting this process. That Loom technology, by the way, that Michael is talking about, is truly game changer. But as simple as Google Docs, but as formal as any sort of learning. What's the
LMS?
LMS, any LMS, yeah. You guys should know about LMS. And I think that's a really cool thing that you can build for like people that are going to be really high turnover. They absolutely will need that, but there has to be some sort of source of truth for every system that you create so that people can go back and I'm not advocating that Google Docs is the best way, but it's the way you can start right this second.
And there's also some, some or online LMSs you can use. There's a bunch out there. If you just do a search for LMS, you'll find plenty. We used Talent LMS for a while, and it's relatively inexpensive. It's pretty granular. I haven't looked into them in a while, but they're not that expensive.
I didn't even know about Google Classroom. I'm gonna have to check that out, Jenny.
I like it because we use Google Drive, so it's like all in one place. That's my whole reason for using it, is I don't have to tell them to go sign into something else. I'm like, you already have Google Drive, so just go to Google Classroom.
I love that.
Wow, that's cool.
Learn Dash is another one Jason talked about. So lots of great tips here of systems to look into. Let's talk for a minute about what could go wrong when setting up systems. What are some pitfalls that you've seen or that business owners should be sure to avoid when they're setting up new systems so they make sure it doesn't backfire?
I do lots of reminders. So I feel bad because I feel like I hound the team a lot, and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to be that person, but I'm really trying to like ingrain these systems in. So if I bug you about it, it's nothing against you. I just really want to make sure everyone follows it, especially when it's a new system. I feel like sometimes we create it and then no one takes note of it. And then I just did this whole thing for nothing because no one's using it, So I'm constantly, either that's automated reminders. So like right now I have a spreadsheet that needs to be updated on a bi-weekly basis. So every couple of weeks, that person gets a reminder saying, hey, make sure to go in and do this. And obviously they probably don't need it now. They've been doing it for a few months, but at least it's there. So if something ever happens to them and we do have someone that we replace, all we have to do is just switch over that. And now this new person gets the automated tasks. So that's what I do to help make sure that they're actually doing the systems I made.
I think one of the pitfalls is developing a system and then not respecting it. You have to be the champion of the system, so you actually have to be over diligent in following every process, dotting every I, crossing every T. As you have to show what you want, obviously, but lead by example and all those other things. But really, you have to be the person that has to over cheer in the beginning. You have to over cheer it. You have to, when somebody cuts a corner because they've been with you forever and they don't see the value in it yet, you have to go back to them and say, I need you on the team here. Here's you can't cut the corner. It's just not going to be scalable, whatever you need to say at that point. But it comes down to respecting the change, and then you have to be the champion. And even if it's just a little thing, I mean, you guys think back to Little League sports and all that, and the coach is like, well, you held the glove just this way. It's got to be just a little bit more to the left. Well, that's because the details do matter. And setting up a new system, it really comes down to you can't cut a corner, because then you just tell everybody it's okay. And when somebody cuts a corner, you have to help them realize that that's not going to be okay in the future.
I think that one of the things that I've seen that makes it most challenging is that people, for the most part, are very resistant to change. Mm-hmm. And so when you start trying to implement the processes or making a change to the procedure, if you're aggressive with it for, say, a week or two, it seems to work. And then you pull back, and then you go back a month or two later, and people have gone back into their old habits. So you got to have that mindset that you've got to watch it close for a minimum of 3 months. And then that seems to be like the tipping point where people start to follow it and do it correctly from that point on. Not always, but that's what I've experienced over the years, is that, and especially the first 2 weeks, if you just say it and walk away, forget it. Probably not going to happen.
No, yeah. I agree.
What are your recommendations as far as how much to, create the system yourself or have certain designated leaders create it versus getting feedback from other team members to help create it? How do you find that balance? Or does it depend what the system is, I'm guessing, too, a little bit?
I think it kind of depends on the stakeholders on the system you're creating. So you really want to make sure the stakeholders are involved in that particular system. You know, obviously, if it's your technicians out in the field, you want the A player, like Christopher said, going through it and helping build that and then model it after that. If it's between departments, you want the 2 department heads involved. And if you're small and you're like the owner and you're just newly bringing on employees, well, then you're the guy that's doing it. But you want to really think about who's going to be the key players involved, and just, you know, maybe sit down and just have a general conversation, and then flow with it from there.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, so I kind of want to end with just to understand better the power of systems. Do any of you have a story you could share where someone, or I guess either in your own business or someone that you helped set up a system in your business, and you just saw firsthand the impact that made on their business operations, maybe on their team unity, and just and even the emotional impact of getting that system implemented? Does anyone have any good stories about that?
You want to go, Kurt? I feel like you're right
Jenny.
there.
Go.
The one system I can think of, I've talked a lot about automations. I had a client who came to me and their salesperson quit on the spot. And so they had to go right back in to do sales. So I helped, and well, I guess I should say they weren't a client beforehand. So they became a client and they were like, I need something in place. And they ended up not needing to, I mean, they stayed a salesperson for quite a while, and just decided not to hire someone because they were closing so much with just the automations. Now, automations aren't perfect. You definitely don't want them to feel automated. So having that personal touch in them, and there is definitely, there's an art to it, of course. I love the way that Kurt has written his automations in ResponsiBid, because I think you have templates in there, right? Right, Kurt?
Yeah.
I love it. It seems super personal. I love that meme. It seems really personal the way that Kurt has written them. So I think that's a really cool story that I love to share, of how they were still closing with doing automations. And that can feel super scary because they feel like it feels impersonal. So
I love that. It's magic. That's magic.
Yeah, I actually have been thinking a little bit about the story I told about my employees that were making me crazy, and we created that certification program. This is kind of an interesting story. The guy that I had that was producing the most work, he was so fast. He was so like incredibly productive dollar per hour wise. I rolled out these systems of stuff that was needing to change, and he immediately told me, I'm not going to do any of that stuff, just so you know. Yeah. And it felt terrible. So he put me in a spot where either I had to let him be different than everyone else because he made me so much money, or I had to stand up for the system and let him go. And because I told you how passionate I was about how hard it was making my life to not have that system in place, I just couldn't imagine a situation where I kept this employee. So I let him go, and I can't believe how productive everyone else got. Everyone else got so productive, and the cancer of the guy who was talking behind my back and all that stuff, I got pulled aside by every single person to tell me something that no one else was going to tell me. Hey, Kurt, I just want to let you know, I know you probably feel bad about losing, we'll call him Joe. I know you feel really bad about losing Joe because he did work. He got so many dollars per hour done. You guys were always talking about that, about how productive he was. But I got to tell you, he made work so miserable because he was always down on this or that or whatever. And I found that the system helped me to realize who was moldable, who was willing to be part of the team culture. And as productive as he was, I made up for it tenfold by all of the productivity of everyone else. But everyone else wasn't at risk of leaving their job, which is also important to point out. So, you know, when you're bringing out systems, you may find that resistance. I think Michael really hit the nail on the head. People are resistant to change. And you probably will find that that's going to be the case. But there is something beautiful to be discovered in that rollout. And so I would encourage anyone that if at first glance you put it out and you get this crazy resistance, it might not be a bad thing.
Thank you, Kurt. I love that.
Sure.
Michael or Christopher, do you guys have any experiences from Powerwash Academy that you want to share?
Well, I was just, I actually I was going to piggyback off of what Curt said, and that is, as far as employees go, the number one thing you really want to look for is if someone has a team mindset. That, like, I mean, they don't have to be the best performer, but if your teammates and the rest of the team knows they can count on them, and they're going to be there as part of the group effort to accomplish something, that's what makes your team strong. So no, I will say that other than that, it just makes a huge difference in being able to scale. So I can't think of any specific examples right off the top of my head, because I've had my battles, and most of the time I just try to forget about it and go on to the next thing. So
Yeah.
Love it. Well, I sure appreciate all of you being here today and giving up your time to share some of your tips about systems with everyone here, and everyone who is watching. Thank you so much for joining us today. I do want to make a note too. We're all part of the Collective, which is basically an organization just designed to help level up the home service community by providing valuable educational resources like this, and other kinds of community engagements and events that just help you level up your business. So be sure to check out the website to learn more. But I'd love each of you, if you wouldn't mind sharing just how our audience can stay connected with you or learn more about your business and the amazing systems that you provide. Would you mind? We'll just start with Curt and just go down. Can you guys share how they can stay connected?
Sure. Just go to ResponsiBid.com. There's a little chat bubble in the bottom right corner. You can hit up through there. You can contact me through there if you want. If it's to me, it'll get to me. But we're there to help you if you already are a ResponsiBidder and you need help. If you aren't a ResponsiBidder yet and you want to learn more about how that system works, you can chat in there. Like, everybody is monitoring that. Happy to help.
Love it. Thanks, Curt. And yeah, your whole team is amazing. What about you, Jenny?
Yeah, go Dunzo.com. It's already up there. You can also follow us on Instagram, which is also Go Dunzo. We post a lot of content there that hopefully people find value, free resources, things like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenny. And Christopher, Michael, whoever wants to tackle that one.
yeah, just Powerwash Academy. Just go to the website. Powerwashacademy.com. That's where you find us. And we had I can't remember exactly how the toll-free number was, but it ends in Orca. Christopher, do you have it there? Because I don't remember.
433 Orca.
Yeah.
Love it.
I will also say we have a very robust YouTube channel that has a lot of great content on it. That's all about pressure washing, and it's the Powerwash.com YouTube channel.
Awesome. And I'm Michelle with Jill's office, and I'll say that, we help answer people's phones. And a lot of our clients use these different services and systems from Curt, Jenny, and Michael and Christopher. And it's amazing how much you can tell about a business answering their phones and how well systematized and how well they run. You learn a lot, even from just answering the phones. And our clients that use these systems, they run way smoother. Their customers usually have a better experience. So I know these systems are effective, that they provide, and very powerful. But just encouraging everyone who's watching today to, take a look at your business. I know it can be a little overwhelming to just, try to implement too many systems at once, but trying to see where some of the pain points are, and trying to use some of the tips we shared here today to implement some more systems and hopefully help solve some of the chaos. So thanks again to our panel here, and thank you everyone else who joined us. We really appreciate you joining us here today. So thanks all. We'll see you. Oh, and just a note, next week we will be doing our final Power Up webinar. We're going to be talking about money, how to bring more money in your business and keep it there. And we'll have another panel here from the collective that will be sharing some of their expertise. So be sure everyone to join us. Yeah, we'd love to see you there. But thanks again. Have a great one.
Bye.